Welcome back, Rakers. Thanks for all the wonderful comments about last week's show. Also, go and check out the blog if you're interested in finding out some of the comments from the people who actually got spammed by the National Australia Bank. That was the topic of last week's show. It was pointed out to me by Ms. Megabyte this week that I'm not listed, or I wasn't listed under Jim Stewart in Twitter. So there was a bunch of people that found another Jim Stewart who also happened to be a bit of a bald bloke, and they just added him to their list. So if you do use Twitter, I am now listed under Jim Stewart. Previously, I was listed under Jim Boot. So there you go. That's the housekeeping out of the way. Big news this week, though, for people who love Flash animation on their websites. The big news is that Google is now going to start actually indexing the people involved in search marketing, myself included. Always tell people that, if you're going to build a site from scratch, don't build it in Flash, because you're just going to make your life harder. And I would still subscribe to that argument. However, and the reason for that is, of course, is that a Flash file is just a great big graphic. And up until now, Google and the other search engines really haven't been able to index them. And quite frankly, they just ignore them and look at them as a graphic. Now, however, if you are going to use a graphic for something, you're probably better off using a Flash file. And the reason is this, is that Google is going to start indexing these Flash files. Now, essentially, a Flash file, and we're talking specifically SWF files here, and for the people who don't know the history of that, that's Shockwave Flash. Anyway, it's not the FLV files. If you've got FLV files like YouTube users and those other video sites use, it's not going to look at those. It's going to look at SWF files. Now, why you would use maybe an SWF file now instead of a graphic is because Google's going to index the SWF files. They don't really index a graphic. Google doesn't know what's inside a graphic. But a Flash file is essentially, it's what's known as a vector image file. And without getting too nerdy, it just means that the file is built up based on coordinates, if you like. And given that Adobe has now just released some tools that will allow Google, the Google bot, to go and index these files and actually read the text that's in the files. So, but not only that, what Google's going to be doing is they're going to try to mimic the human behavior. So we're not just talking sites that are built entirely in Flash. We're talking about Flash buttons, Flash menus, those sorts of things. And the Google bot's going to kind of go in and have a look at your site, and if it's using Flash buttons and Flash menus and things like that, it's going to try to mimic what a human would do to walk through the process of examining the website. And not only is it going to index the text that it finds in these Flash files, it's also going to index any links it finds and spider those links that it finds. So if people are linking to your site, for instance, with Flash files, you wouldn't have had any kudos as far as Google's concerned up until now. And the reason why Google likes to see links to your site is, of course, is that if someone links to your site, it's like a vote for your site, essentially. And the better the site that links to you, the more authoritative the site, it's easy for me to say, site that links to you, the better as well. So, for instance, if the New York Times linked to your site, it's better than my site linking to your site. I don't know why, because quite frankly, I think it's a bit of a trashy rag. But anyway, that's just me. Don't get me started. But if you go and have a look at if you want to have a look at your own site, go and find out whether you've got Flash. A lot of people, you may not even know you have Flash. You know the big banners a lot of people have at the top of their sites? That's Flash. Where it animates, that's Flash. You know, sometimes when you roll a mouse over a button and it changes, sometimes, not all the times, that's Flash, not JavaScript. Most of the time it's JavaScript though. But the real way to check it is to view the source of your say your front page, and then just look for the SWF in the code. And if you've got SWF featuring anywhere in the code, chances are it's a Flash file. So get your Flash files ready, and if you do have to use, corporate fonts for corporate branding purposes, for God's sake now, do them in Flash. Don't do them as a graphic, okay? And this specifically For you advertising agencies out there, the sheriffs of the brand, if you have insisted in the past on putting using fonts as graphics, now stick them in a flash file and Google will actually be able to read the words. Isn't that handy? And that's it for this week's show. Thanks very much for watching. And remember, if you've got any questions, just shoot them through and we'll attempt to answer them on the show. And of course, if we don't know the answer, we'll make it up. Thanks very much. Bye.